Love the brand. And one of the big reasons that I came to the brand was because of the brand marketing. I went to Penn State for marketing and advertising originally, and then pivoted into real estate. And I would never go back. But one of the nice things is that I get to use a lot of that daily. And that's one of the things I enjoy about doing open houses and doing the marketing building up to the open houses, which is one of the main things I wanted to talk about today. So um, it's nice to see you all. I know most of you, but there's a few people that I don't know that I've gotten a chance to meet. So welcome. And of course, if you have any questions or any input that you want to give throughout, just raise your hand. Like I was telling Elizabeth, I have my presentation full screen on my laptop, but I do have you on my phone also, so I can see if anybody's like raising their hand or anything, until we figure out if in the future I'm able to do a picture in picture. We're going to do it this way. So I'm going to try to keep an eye if anybody has any questions or anything. But thank you, Debbie, for asking me. Thank you, Harry, for asking me. Then today we're going to talk about open houses. So we'll get started. I think we're a little bit after 1. May as well get going. So everybody in here has probably hosted an open house at one point or another. And on the surface, a lot of them may seem not successful because I think we were led to believe if you don't get people at the open house itself, that maybe the open house wasn't successful. If you don't sell the subject property, that maybe the open house wasn't successful. But I don't think that's true. I think there's lots of ways that we can turn an open house into leads, whether you get guests actually at that open house or not. Something I like to think about is that open house gives you a chance to build relationships with people. If you do get visitors, even if they're not purchasing that property, you have an opportunity to convert them into a client. So there's lots of different ways that we can do this. And some of the things we're going to touch on today is why I think open houses still work. I think they still can be effective. A lot of agents, I think, had gotten a little bit discouraged by them at a time, especially after COVID. Everything changed so much, and the open house itself kind of went by the wayside for a while. But I think they are still important. I think they are still valuable. The pre-open marketing strategy. That's my favorite part because that's where you're going to do the majority of your marketing. By the time the open house actually happens, your marketing machine should have already way taken off. And something that's going to help you with that big time is open house concierge. And I think I'm on the heels of Lee's presentation where he talked a good bit about open house concierge. So I won't touch on it too much. That's marketing's baby, but I do have a quick slide that kind of lets you know what it is if you've never used it before. And then I have a QR that you can go right to the application, but that is a major tool for success with open houses. If you don't do anything else, make sure you put it in open house concierge. You're going to want to create an unforgettable guest experience. If you do have guests, you want them to feel comfortable with you. You want them to revisit you as an agent, even if they don't end up purchasing that property. Lead capture is super important. How are we going to get the leads, first of all, of course, but then how are we going to keep the leads, capture the leads, and then use the follow-up systems to convert the leads. Some mistakes to avoid, and a big thing for me now is safety, because you read so many horror stories of agents who have been in horrible situations, and with a little bit of planning ahead, maybe sometimes some of that can be prevented. So we'll talk a little bit about keeping yourself safe too when you have an open house, especially if you're alone. I always recommend not being alone, but if you are, some things that you can do. So one thing about why open houses still matter, obviously it's a big deal because it creates a face-to-face opportunity with people who are obviously looking to buy, curious or nosy, but we love nosy neighbors. People often will say the neighbors are a pain and they don't want the neighbors to come in and they're nosy, but a lot of times they might know someone who wants that house. They may know someone who they would love to be their neighbor. Sometimes they even become future sellers. So I think the neighbors are important if you know how to cash in on them being nosy. They can be a lot more than just a nosy neighbor. Obviously, other buyers can become long-term clients, even if they're not just purchasing that property. We got to stop thinking about it just being about the subject property. Obviously, that's what the seller is going to want to see. But for you, long-term residual business, what are you going to do to create more business after this event? Because it can create multiple transactions if you do it right. Also, it's going to build local brand awareness, which I make a point about that here. In your neighborhood, if they see you constantly hosting open houses, then people are going to have you top of mind. So, Croy in our office has been fantastic with that. He will host anybody's open anytime. And he's built a very nice business in the last couple of years that he's been doing it. So, think about it that way. It's always an opportunity for you to brand, even if it's not your property, even if that particular property doesn't sell that day, it's still an opportunity for you to market the heck out of yourself. So become a local expert, if nothing else. Host all the opens in the neighborhood, and then people are going to come to you because they're going to recognize you. This is my biggest thing. The open house starts before the open. The marketing before is the most important part of the event, in my opinion. Your goal is to become a marketing machine before the doors ever open. So create some excitement, some urgency, and lots of visibility. This talks about how every post, email, flyer, and conversation should drive attention. So I'm big on social media, and this is where Open House Concierge can help you too, because they are going to give you that hands-off marketing if that's not your specialty. So don't panic. Like if you're not good with social media, if that's not your thing, they can help you with that. But make sure that you're posting ahead of time, creating some buzz. I want to hear your ideas if you have any cool ideas for how you've done that in the past, but I will share something first. An agent in our office, Dawn, she had a really cool idea that was sort of a pre-open house VIP invitation. So you would sort of canvass the neighborhood ahead of the open. You would create a VIP invitation only for neighbors, and then it would give you a reason to stop in that neighborhood, especially if that was a neighborhood you really wanted to break into, or a neighborhood that you really wanted more listings, more business in. Great excuse to talk to all of the neighbors, create some conversations, create some relationships with the neighbors, and make them feel important. So you're going to get an invite only to the open house. You saw we have the house down the street for sale. Maybe you know somebody who would want to buy that house. So from 12 to 1, it's neighbors only. It's only invitation. You might have special food or giveaways or something for the neighbors, and just make them feel important, make them feel special within a certain time frame. And it gives you an excuse to take them an invitation and to talk to them and create a little buzz about it in the neighborhood. So I'd love to hear if anybody else has any cool ideas like that that they've done maybe before the open house to create buzz. Does anybody have anything cool that they'd want to share that they've done that's worked? Y'all are creative. I know you got stuff.
Eleni, I think doing exactly what you said is really the way to go. Uh, you know, it's been called 10, 10, 20. You can contact 40 homes around the subject. And from there, you could, do exactly what you said. Invite them for the owner-only event. Have some, I don't know, hot chocolate, whatever. Something special for the owner. But I also agree with the nosy neighbor concept. I mean, I like nosy neighbors. They know what's going on in the neighborhood. They know what's going on with you know, who's getting a promotion, who's not, who's losing their job, who's getting divorced. I mean, there can be a question uh, if you invite them over. Yeah, it's pretty much right on the money. It's the open house starts a week before the open house takes place. So you got it right on the mark there. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. But that's exactly how I feel. Because a lot of times, when you ask, obviously you need to ask your clients if that's something that they want to do. But a lot of times, the pushback that you would get is, well, if it's just going to be nosy neighbors, how does that benefit me? I don't want people coming through my house and being nosy. Well, that's the point, kind of, is that if you make the neighbors feel important, that you need them to help you even find a buyer, a lot of times they're like, oh, and then they'll think about people that they know or whatever that might actually like this property, and so you can kind of cash in on that. There's a certain and it's not always true in real estate, but there's a certain saying about how any PR is good PR, and that's not always true. But in this case, with something like that, it's probably good. Get people talking about it. Get them thinking about if they know anybody that would like the property. But does anybody else have anything cool that they did pre-open house that seemed like it got some attention? If not, that's okay. We'll talk briefly about open house concierge. What was that? Who was that? I heard somebody. But that's okay. So briefly about open house concierge. Like I said, this is marketing's baby, and I'm not going to step on their toes and try to explain it, but they can tell you all of the ins and outs and all of the cool things it does. But in a nutshell, it's a lead gen platform that they do for you. It is a no-brainer. If you're going to do an open house, throw it in there, because at the very least, they're going to give you some digital ads and some print materials to actually take to the open. So that one of the things is the sign-in sheet, which please, if you do nothing else, get a sign-in sheet so that you can please capture people's information, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But they'll create you that, all of the branded materials. It's going to generate leads, and it's free. So it's a no-brainer. I put a QR that should go directly to the application for open house concierge. And Elizabeth, if you're still on, what's the deadline every week? Do you like to have it by like Monday, or what's your deadline?
So the deadline is Mondays at midnight. So we keep the form open through midnight. And then you'll need to have at least 3 photos active in the MLS. And that way it feeds through over to our website, and we can go ahead and link the lead form to the listing details page on the website. So it all kind of plays together. So yeah, Monday at midnight is the important date to remember there.
Perfect. So Monday at midnight, get your opens in for the weekend or whatever day you're going to do them, and they will get you put into the ads. They will get you your paper materials for the actual open. No brainer to do that if you're going to do an open. If you do nothing else, put it in there and take your sign-in sheet, please. So marketing machine, we talked a little bit about the door knocking already. Make them feel VIP. Nosy neighbors are your friends. Call your sphere. Obviously, if you don't have anybody that's going to be looking for that type of property, call them. Even if you don't, call them. Tell them, if you know of anybody, I'm doing this open. A phone call goes a long way. Texts are good. Phone calls better. Call people. Tell them you're doing this event. Stop by and see me. Who knows? You might even get somebody that wants to talk to you about another property but they're going to come face to face and chat with you. Always good. Like I said, reach out to the active buyers personally if you can. Promote on social media, obviously. Use your email campaigns and your Moxie or your CRM automation to your benefit with this, because you could create an email blast that would go out to everybody in your CRM. That would be an easy hands-off way that you could use Moxie to help you with this, to send invitation type materials out. Also, there's all kinds of templates in there that you can use. And if you don't know how to do that, there's plenty of people you can reach out. Like I said, marketing's great with that stuff too. And Becky's really good with Moxie too. So sorry for volunteering, but and then another important thing is we have Success and we have Allied. So leverage your lender and your vendor partnerships for additional reach. That's also, we'll talk about that later. If you don't want to be alone at the event for safety reasons, that's also a good way to kind of do that, is have a lender come with you or have your vendor partnership come sit with you. Then you're not alone at the event, and it's also very valuable to a buyer if you have your lender right there. So that's a really good idea too, to partner with your lenders and your local vendors to even sort of sponsor. And obviously you need to stay within the NAR guidelines. Shout out NAR. So look up the rules for your giveaways and your incentives, but you could potentially have some type of giveaway that somebody would sponsor. And that's a good way to partner with our vendors. Balloons and branded signage, I say that stuff still works. I mean, we have all kinds of cool branding now, especially if you're doing a global luxury open, which I just recently did. Reach out to Kate for special information on that. She can definitely give you all kinds of cool ideas. She gave me some really nice ideas when I did my open on my luxury listing. So check with her for some branding tips, especially if you're doing global luxury. And then reels, live videos, house tours for social media during the open. Utilize your time. If you don't have a whole lot of guests there, still utilize your time. I've done that so many times. Because odds are if you're doing it for a couple hours, you're going to have a little bit of time. Do a live video. I love doing those because even if nobody pops in on your live on Facebook, that will save and you can share it and it will say live on your social media. So just think of any possible way that you could reach someone and go for it. Especially, like I said, Facebook Lives are great if you have a minute to do that, and you likely will. So set up and guest experience. Make sure you have signage. I still like balloons. I still like flags. Music, lighting, and scent also matter. Something that I like to make sure is whenever I walk into the property, like, is it inviting? Is it comfortable? Does it smell good? Sometimes I'll put some music on. Just be mindful of the music. I mean, you don't want it to probably be like EDM or something, depending on your clientele. Maybe you do. I don't know. But have some light, maybe jazz or something in the background. That's what I always like. Make sure the lighting is good. You don't want it to be dark. Make sure it smells good, but make sure it's not overpowering too, because some people have scent sensitivities, so be mindful. But make it inviting, make it somewhere that somebody's going to want to come and hang out and talk to you for a while. At the very least, make sure you got your flyers, your data sheets, and financing info available. That's something else you can, I think it's a box that you check when you fill out the application for concierge. You can ask for sheets from Success for information. I think they give you rate sheets. So make sure you get those as well. Refreshments when appropriate. When I did my luxury listing, I did mimosas and brunch. You don't have to do all of that, but a little something is nice, even if it's something like, if it's, a listing where you just want to do pretzels and bottled water or something. That's also another opportunity to brand. You can get wraps for your water bottles that have your name and your number, and the pop buys that marketing has are awesome. You can use them depending on what holiday is coming up. Make sure the house is clean. I hopefully your seller is going to understand that they want to put their best foot forward, but there may be cases where you may need to pay for a cleaning service. I have luckily not had to do that, but if you do, that's going to go a long way. And think about it this way, even if you don't have guests, it's not a waste. Do your live videos, take your pictures and things while you're there. Keep it bright and inviting. Make a good first impression. Make sure when the guests come in that you're greeting them. You don't want to be a lump on a lung in the chair. Hey, I don't think any of us are. I don't think any of us are lumps. But make sure you greet them. Tell them, hey, thanks for stopping by. What brought you to the open house? Introduce yourself. This is not the time to be pushy. Not the time to be pushy. Just ask open-ended questions. Make sure it's low pressure and inviting, and let them know if they have questions they can ask. Tell them a little bit about the property, and that sort of thing. Use your sign-in sheet to capture their info. One other good tip, which I just recently kind of started doing this, is I didn't print out the disclosures. I would capture their emails and then send them digitally. Like, hey, I'll send you the disclosure. It's got information the seller knows about the property. If you're interested, it's a good way to get emails. And then you have a reason to reach out to them again, too. Register for a giveaway. If you have the giveaways, have them register, put their name in a drawing or whatever for a giveaway. Make sure you get the phone number. Addresses are great if you want to send thank yous after the event, which is another nice way to touch after. Emails are, I think, golden, because then you can throw them in your CRM, and that's just super easy way to capture their info. Always ask if they're working with an agent. Obviously the open houses, you don't have to have the buyer agent agreement in our area. I think all areas you don't have to have that. And always have a contact disclaimer. I like to put that because I like to make sure that they are aware that I may contact them after. So I put that at the bottom. Penny, go ahead.
I have a critique sheet. So like at the end, before they leave, I ask them if they would be so kind as to give, answer these few little questions for my seller. I always say whether it's good or bad, because sometimes our sellers don't understand or don't get it. And when they see it from people that have been there, it's the light goes on, even though you've been preaching to them. Also, it gives me an opportunity at the end for them to chat with them for another minute. And then I always give them a little Popeye gift. Just thank you. I always have a drawing too, but that always inspires everybody to fill everything out. Because I told them if they haven't filled out all the questions on the sign-up sheet, then I can't put them into my drawing. And then the Popeye's just a little thank you. Like during the winter, I use popcorn because, it's something that I don't have to get all the time. And it's a package of microwave popcorn, and it just says, thank you for popping by my open house. And they always chuckle with that when I give them that and say, well, next time you're watching TV, think of me, here's your popcorn.
That's awesome, Penny. I love that. And I didn't even ever think about that. Give them a motivation to give you feedback.
Yes.
Because, that's wonderful. Because then, especially if you're dealing with a seller where you need some feedback, or you need to talk to them about price, or you need to have a hard conversation, that's a great way to do it. I love that, Penny. So feedback sheets. It's a good idea. So in my office, we kind of did that back when we did caravans, the home tour. We would do sort of a feedback sheet, but I love that you're kind of putting it on the consumer, and you're getting neutral information to take back to your seller. That's a great tool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. That was great. So that's a great idea. How do you turn the conversations into clients? focus on the relationship building. Listen to what they're saying more than you talk. That it's hard for a lot of us, me too, because I'm a talker. You gotta be. But listen more than you talk. What are they telling you? Why did they stop by? I had a client that he turned into a longtime client. He purchased multiple properties. He came to an open house. Didn't end up purchasing that property. Ended up being a great long-term client though. So listen to their needs. What do they need? The goal is trust first, sales second. You want them to feel comfortable with you, and why would they want to stay in touch with you? What type of impression are you giving at this first meeting of them? And like I kind of touched on before, become the local market expert. So if you're sitting in open in a town that you know very well, that's easy. If you're sitting in open for somebody else, make sure you learn a little bit about where you're at, so that you can talk honestly and in an educated way to your client. And then I just threw in some example questions. What brought you out today? Are you renting? Are you owning now? What areas are you interested in? How long have you been searching? And would you like updates on similar homes if this home isn't for you? And the theme of this whole thing is treat the open like a business building event, because every open absolutely is to build your business. It is not just for that particular property. And I think if you keep that in mind too, you see the value in them a little bit more. Make it more about building your business, and then you will see the value. So the power of follow-up is huge. A lot of agents, if they never follow up, I mean, you're going to lose everything that you built. So make sure you set up a follow-up strategy, whatever works for you. But following up quickly is ideal. Holly knows all about this with all of her leads, is you need to get to them quickly. So follow up quick. 24 hours is ideal from all the research that I did. Try to get to them within the next day, just to say, hey, thanks for coming. You can send a text or email for that first one. I like to mail thank you cards. If I'm able to capture addresses to visitors, I like to mail a thank you card. Just saying thank you for visiting. If you need anything in the future, here's my information. If you are able to get the email addresses and put them in your CRM, provide additional listings, put them in for listing alerts if they give you an idea of their criteria, or market inserts like the neighborhood news. This way you will stay top of mind. If you continue with ongoing communication with the people that you have touch base with, then they will likely reach out to you in the future. So this was just a little follow-up plan example. Next day one, you're going to send the text and you're going to send an email and say thank you for attending. Day two, you can send similar listings or send out your thank you postcards. Day 5 is a good time to send the market update and do a check-in. And then week 2, if you have another event coming up that you think that maybe they would be interested in, invite them to that. And then monthly, continue with your value-driven follow-up. So your CRM, you're going to keep them posted. And like I said, make sure with this that you get their permission to do this. Because nobody likes unsolicited stuff. So make sure that, like I said, on my sign-in sheet, I think maybe even on the CB Premier one, there is a disclosure that, you're allowing us to contact you afterwards. Ask them if they want you to keep in touch. But yeah. I think it's super important to talk about safety, but we'll talk about a few common mistakes. First, try not to show up unprepared. The least you could do is bring your sign-in sheet, please. Bring your sign-in sheet. Make sure you capture the information. That's the biggest, most important thing in my opinion, is make sure you have that. Make sure you're educated on the property. If it's not your property, I don't know that it's on here, but if it's not your property, make sure you can talk about it. Poor signage placement. Make sure you got your arrows. Like I said, you can do your balloons. There's all kinds of cool branded signs and flags and things that you can do. that actually look really nice and get people's attention, because GPS isn't always correct. Remember that. And make sure you don't ignore the neighbors. Cash in on the nosy neighbors, please. We don't want to be too overly salesy at the open. We want to make people feel comfortable. We want them to feel like they can ask us questions. We want to develop that relationship with them. Please capture their contact information somehow. I've repeated myself on that, but make sure you do. And not having a follow-up system. That's not great, because then what are you going to do with it? You got all these awesome leads. What are you going to do with them? So come up with a plan. It doesn't have to be the plan that I had, but come up with some kind of follow-up strategy that you can follow. I mean, don't make it something that you're not going to be able to stick to. I mean, maybe postcards and putting them in your CRM is what works for you, and that's fine. Just do something to reach out after. Make sure they know you remember them, and find a way to stay top of mind so that they reach out to you in the future. Staying safe. Like I said, unfortunately, we've all heard like horrible stories of things happening to agents that get in bad situations. It's not always an open house. But if you think about it, that would be a convenient way to do something scary, because a lot of times you're alone and they know exactly where you are for exactly the hours that you're going to be there. So if you don't know the property, familiarize yourself with the property. It sounds basic, but know the back door, know how to get out, share your location. If you don't have Life 360 or the Find My apps on iPhone, make sure that you get those. Make sure somebody knows where you are. At the very least, share your location with them. It could even be your admin. Share your information with somebody, colleague, friend, family. Make sure they know where you are at the least. Make sure your phone's fully charged so that if you did have an emergency, obviously that you would be able to use your phone. With the iPhone, if you hold it like you're going to shut the phone down, there's actually an emergency swipe that'll immediately call 911. I know this because I've done it by accident. And they've been calling me and checking on me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So that is on there. Make sure you know how to do that, because you never know. Obviously buddy system. I'm going a little out of turn here, but my list, but buddy system, big deal. If you could have a colleague and my colleagues are wonderful. I mean, my last open house, Croy showed up and had mimosas with me, and Don showed up. So it's wonderful when you have that relationship. Have your colleagues stop by, or partner with a lender, partner with your title agent, have them come out and be with you. And then something that has always been kind of big for me, and I've been cautious of, because in my market, we have a lot of rural properties. So a lot of times you're showing cabins, or you're showing things that are kind of out in a area where there's not a whole lot of cell phone service, or there's not a whole lot of people around. So parking a certain way is something I've always been kind of aware of, but you may not think about that every day. Park it in such a way that you can't be parked in, essentially. Don't allow yourself to get backed into where, if you did need to leave in an emergency, that you could be blocked in. So sometimes that's as simple as just backing in, or parking along the street instead of pulling in the driveway, or whatever that may be. Something that I didn't list here, but is something to think about, is if you're touring the property with someone, if you're walking them around, but a lot of people say, be conscious of where you're at in the room. You could stay by the doorway, let them walk into the room. Don't get backed into a corner. Especially if you're uncomfortable a little bit with that person, just make sure you're self-aware. So I think we've talked a lot about already how it can build your brand. But think about it as a marketing opportunity for you, not just a subject property. I looked up this statistic on NAR when I was putting this together. It said only about 4% of the homes sell as a direct result of their open. So that's why it's so important to look at the ways you can generate the residual business. Let's see. Patrina, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to share before you move. One of the things that I use for open house for safety to
Mhm.
help take down the defense of the neighbors, I'll say, hey, I'm hosting an open house. I just want to let you know that I'll be there in case you see anything strange or something going on. Just stop by, or, just to check on us, or I'll say us, even though it may be me sometime or whatever. I'll say, just stop by and check on us to make sure everybody is okay. So I use it as a safety thing to have the neighbors to check on me while I'm there, and they'll start talking and they'll get warm up to me, and then we'll start talking about their house and things like that. So that someone, if they're not using, you may use that as a way into neighbors.
That's great. That's another, I mean, just another way that you could have a talking point, but that's actually a great safety thing. Let them know what time you're going to be there, and yeah, tell them keep an eye if you see anything, or if my car's there for a very long time or something. That's a good idea. I love that. Um, Again, neighbors. My next point was neighbors remember consistent agents. So exactly, use your neighbors, man. If you're consistent in the neighborhood, if they constantly see your signs, chances are they're going to call you when they need something too. The video content helps to build your authority online, so don't forget about the videos, the lives while you're in there. Open houses can create future listing opportunities. We talked about that. Neighbors want to list, they might call you after that. And the consistency compounds over time and helps to develop your trust in the community. So again, be consistent, and try to develop authority in your area, in your neighborhood. And like I said, I think Croy's on here. He's done a great job doing that. He's our open house king. So he's a good one there for that. But now I was just going to turn it over to anybody who had questions or wanted to discuss any of their ideas, or if they do anything differently. I'd love to hear from you guys. This is just things that have helped me turn my open house into leads and other business. And I will be honest with you, I don't think I have had a single, and this is not a bad thing, but I don't think I've had a single property that the subject property sold at the open. But that does not mean that that property didn't sell. And it definitely doesn't mean that I didn't create business from the people who visited. Or sometimes you get nobody. And that's okay, because you still got business. You still got leads from concierge. You still got to post your live video. You still were able to get out and about. You still put your ad in the paper or whatever you do locally to get yourself out there. So don't think about it so much as that I didn't sell that property. I didn't get a buyer for that property. It was waste. Absolutely not. And I think, you can see that. And I've already heard some cool things that people do that I didn't know or think about. So, does anybody else have anything else that they do that might be something good that we didn't talk about? Croy, go ahead, Croy. There you are.
Hey, everybody. What a
Our
great
open house kid.
presentation, Eleni. My big question is,
Thanks, Croy.
what about the leads from Open House Concierge? I have a spreadsheet of them from all the open houses I did last year. I sent them emails. I sent them flyers of the copies of the houses. When I was doing a different open house, I'd send them to the people previously. I've gotten no email, no phone call, no return phone call, no message, except from two different people. One was a lady who told me to never call her again because I called her at 8:30 at night when the open house lead came in, and I called her right back because I figured, well, she's up. And then the other one was a guy who looked at one of our mushroom houses out here and then realized that the house would not be suitable for his handicapped elderly parents. And because he was from New York, we got to chit-chatting. So what do we do with all of those? I mean, I'm slow on the computer. I have limited time to be on the computer sending things out. Do we follow up with these people again? Now we're going into a whole new open house season. Should I bother them again? Should I bother doing it? What do you guys think?
My feeling is absolutely, Croy. Irritate the ever living crap out of them. Because
Amen. just keep
Yes.
on going at them. I mean, I've had people now that are on my Christmas card list. I've been in contact with them so long. Don't give up, Croy.
Yep. Because they put their information, right, Holly? I mean, or Elizabeth too, because they are the ones that put it in. Like, it's not like we're tricking them into doing it. They would have seen the ad and inquired, right? That's what the ads are.
Right. Eleni, this was an awesome
Oh, thank
topic.
you.
Your energy was amazing. It was really good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hall. Well, thanks, Harry and Debbie, for letting me do this. And Katrina, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say to is it Croy? Is that his name? I was gonna say continue to do it. I recently closed a deal last year that I have been working on for 3 years, just keeping in contact with them. It started out being so I had one from last year, I'm sorry, that I've been doing for like 3 years that I recently closed. And then I'm doing one now that's listed that was a for sale by owner like for 2 years ago, but now it's listed. So I would say stay in contact with them. And then I have some referral from them. I haven't gotten anything yet, but they're referring people to me. So I would say keep knocking.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Because I've gotten that too, Croy. I mean, we all unfortunately have gotten that where you call and they're like, "How did you get my information?" But it's like it cracks me up because after, and I've asked lots of questions too, like what does the ad look like? What are they seeing? Because they act like they've never heard of this. But they put it in. They put it in. So
Well, and I just have to give a shout out for Eleni because she is always a joy to work with.
oh,
And
Croy.
always so much fun and so full of knowledge. She's one of our cheerleaders at the shop. So I just have to put that out there because I know she won't brag on herself.
No, but I'll brag on you because I think Croy's awesome. He's such a sweetheart. He's such a sunshine when he comes in. And oh, Croy, it cracked me up. Me and Dawn we have like a farmer's market that we do weekly, and we did it. Dawn and I did it together last week. Everybody was coming up, "Where's Croy?" Like, okay, it's nice to see you too, but Croy is not here today. You are stuck with me. Anyway, so if that tells you anything, Penny, what's up? You got your hand up. You got another nugget, Penny, of fun ideas? Maybe not. But I really liked Penny's idea of like the feedback sheets. And I have seen those even on, I think Pinterest maybe has some templates for feedback sheets that I've seen actually, now that she mentioned it. So that's a really good one. Like
Sorry,
super good way.
Sorry,
to do that.
I accidentally
You're good.
closed it up instead of turning on my mic. I want to share this from a kind of a nugget that I got from Katrina. And and it was probably about a year or so ago. And she happened to share, we used to have Monday morning kickoffs, and we would have a group, and we had topics, and sometimes we just shared things that we were doing. And she said after the open house, if she had the flyers left or the MLS printouts, she used to send them out to like a couple streets over from where the open house was. And so she just sent those out with a little note, thought you might be interested in, this. We had an open house here, whatever. And so that's another way to maybe a street that, you don't have to go through that street to get to your street or whatever, or it's at the back of the subdivision, that people realize that, you did have an open house. And there again, you're getting your name out even if they don't care.
Yeah. No, I love that because that plays into the becoming the expert of the neighborhood too.
Right.
It's like if your face keeps popping up, then they're gonna think, "Oh, well, she's sold on my street,"
Right.
Even if you just host for somebody else, they're just like, "Oh, well, I recognize her face," because people like that. They like somebody they know, and that's trusted in the area. So that's awesome. Well, I'm a little early, but nobody hates leaving school early. So, Debbie, thank you so much for letting me do this. Harry, thanks for telling me I was doing it.
Eleni, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much. And we do. We love your energy and all the information that you bring. I just put a
Thank you.
link into the chat. Marketing has a link for the open house feedback, as well as when you do the open house concierge, it's one of the
Perfect.
items you can select. So they have sign-in sheets, they have feedback sheets, and I scrolled back through.
Awesome.
Amelia said lottery tickets are great for getting feedback sheets turned in. So give the visitors to your open house a little incentive to bring their feedback sheet back to you. And that's also a great way if you're having some issues, not that any of our listings ever have issues, but you may have it overpriced or you've got a crazy color scheme or something. It makes the conversation with the owners easier when you have ammunition saying, here's the feedback from the open house. 4 out of 5 said that purple wall needs to go. Anyway, it's just a way to open conversations that make it easier, less about you, more about the public opinion. So again, thank you so much, Eleni. I so appreciate it. I love that we're tag teaming. Lee did an awesome job last week with Open House Concierge and how he does open houses. Now we add this to it. And I think all of the agents who participated in both got a great balance between the two. Please remember, this has been recorded. We will post it in the Premier YouTube learning channel. Next week, we'll have our manager from Florida, Avanya Nichols, will be talking about the sales cycle. So start to finish, Avanya will finish up our spring series, and we'll be back in September with Harry kicking it off when we get back after the summer. So Eleni, again, thank you. And to all of you who've been coming back every week, we so appreciate you taking the time to invest in yourselves and your business. So have a wonderful week. Let your
Thank
manager know if you need
you.
anything. And if you have any topics to suggest, I am open for suggestions and would love to get your feedback. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Eleni. Bye-bye.
Thank you.